Oh, hi, Julia. Good evening.
Hi, Abdullah. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Can you hear me good?
Good, thanks. Yes, I can. Just give me a second. I'm just going to maximize the window.
Sure, sure, sure.
I'm sorry, the lighting is not the greatest in my home office, so I don't know if I should turn on the light of the mobile, or is this fine?
No, no, it's fine. It's fine. And I'm
It's
at no
fine.
great
Okay.
place either. So it's totally fine.
Okay. Just
Yeah,
give me
yeah.
a second, yeah?
Yep, yep, of course.
I just turned off the fan because it's really noisy.
Yeah, I can understand that. Even I'm sitting here without my fan.
Yes.
Julia, how are you? How are you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. And
Good.
how's life been for you over the past 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah. It's been good. It's been good.
First of all, congratulations on being one of the
Thank you.
winners of the fiction contest. And I
Thank
would love to
you.
introduce you to our audience whenever this video comes out. So welcome on the
Okay.
show,
Thank
Miss
you.
Julia, Esther Jacob, and I would love you to please introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure. So thanks, Abdullah. My name is Julia Esther Jacob, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the winners of the Call to Wild competition done by the Hemlock Journal and the Remington Review. So thank you so much for having me.
Most welcome. So I wanted to first of all know, like, how did you stumble upon the Hemlock Journal?
Right. I was thinking about this. I'm not quite sure. I think I subscribe or look at things like authors published and different things. So I think somewhere along the way I must have come across this. I'm not sure if this was featured on the Himalayan writing retreat website. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure how I landed on this, but I saw it and I earmarked it, thinking that I would come back to it. And I know that I think the competition was running for a few months before I finally decided to throw my hat in. So I sat on it for a while.
Okay, so how has the experience been for you till now? Getting
Yeah, it's
longlisted
been
and then getting shortlisted. So how has the experience been?
it's really it's very humbling. It's very rewarding. It's I don't know. It's I don't know. It's been fantastic. It's been a really fantastic experience, and I think I've only just started my writing journey. Well, seriously, I think for just less than a year, last August, and I feel there's been a lot of fortuitous events that have fueled me. So I've been lucky in a sense. I think many of these things, I think are also subjective. There's a huge amount of luck, and stars have to align. So I think I've been very fortunate, and it's really heartening, and it's really just fueled me to continue on this journey. So these things, are a nice motivation.
That's really nice to know. So if you started in August, what were you doing before this?
So I mean, I worked for not-for-profits largely, and I've never really dabbled or thought of myself as a creative person. My dad is a creative person in the family, and I mean, I've always loved reading, but never really thought of myself as a writer. I mean, life gets in the way. I've worked for not-for-profits, but never really written as such. I think maybe I wrote one or two advocacy pieces, but that's basically it. And last year, funnily enough, I was talking to a doctor who is now also a friend, who is also a writer, a keen writer. And we got talking, and she suggested, whether I had considered writing when I was telling her that I'm experiencing things like, brain fog and, just part of getting older. And she suggested, okay, I know you run a book club. I run a book club as well, along with another friend. So she suggested writing. And she, in fact, sent me a notice of a workshop, a short story workshop that was being held in Goa. I live in Goa. And again, I was very lucky to have been picked for that. And that really started me on this journey. I absolutely loved the 3 day workshop, and I was just hungry for more. And I went down the rabbit hole, and I just haven't been able to stop writing since. So
And
yeah.
And how has like the feedback been for you, since you've won the competition from your peers, from your colleagues, family, everyone?
I mean, everyone is, very happy for me, obviously, and I'm very lucky that I have friends or a group of people who are also enjoy writing, poetry, short stories, and they are a great source of, inspiration and motivation. They're also the group that reads my work and provides really valuable feedback. And recently, I've also just joined the Goa Writers Group, and they also have a group, a small WhatsApp group. They critique the work. So I find that incredibly valuable. Somebody who is, people are willing to read your work and, offer you that feedback, and that just helps you improve. I think that's a really valuable exercise.
So till now, how have you absorbed the feedback?
I must say, some people say it's really hard or like it's really hard, but I'm just hungry. I want to say I'm greedy for feedback, I'm constantly just bugging people. Initially, I started off, asking my dad or my sister or my partner to read, and I'd be like, "Did you read this? Did you read this? Have you read it now?" Constantly chasing them because I'm just so hungry for feedback. And also with the critiquing group, often they'll be like, does somebody have a piece to share? And I'm like, I do, but I can't keep going all the time. Whereas I know there are others who are like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to share, but I'm just all about feedback. I really am hungry for feedback. I want to understand what my readers take from it, how it's perceived. I'm not really great at editing, and I just kind of get my story out. So I really find that exercise really valuable. So I think I'm really I think I take feedback really well, and I'm open to it. I've always been open to it, and I'm fortunate that I'm surrounded by, fantastic family and friends who are willing to give me that feedback.
No, and I can also, sense the hunger in your voice. Really excited, aren't you?
Yeah, I think when you see people who write, you just and authors that you admire, you're just fascinated, and I don't think I'm a natural. So I think I'm somebody who's just persistent, who just keeps writing and improving. And I think some people are just beautiful writers. They have the gift of writing. And I feel like others might, like myself, we're constantly improving our craft and learning. So I'm on this journey of learning. Yeah.
Yeah, and how do you see yourself down the line, 5 years down the line? How do you see yourself? In which direction are you heading?
Well, at the moment, I'm writing a lot of short stories. That seems to be the format that, I mean, interestingly, the workshop that I got into was also a short story workshop, and I'm writing a lot of short stories. Feel like I'm cutting my teeth on that, submitting to different places. Um, I don't feel like I have ideas for a longer format, but I haven't been able to really put myself down to it. So I feel like I'm still learning, and I feel like doing short stories is really where I feel like I'm growing and evolving. So I'm trying to work on a collection of short stories at the moment, while also looking at, I guess, different journals, different magazines, looking at prompts and constantly writing new stories and improving. So perhaps in the future, say 4, 5 years from now, I hope I can put myself down to actually writing a novel. I do have some ideas, uh, but it's just a matter of, I think, researching and getting better at it. I feel like the ideas that I have requires a lot of research, so I don't feel like I'm there just yet. Considering I started my journey last August, but I'm hopeful that I can get there.
I think that this is the perfect start, right? The perfect motivation you need.
Yes, absolutely. And it's not like, I mean, you read about people who have, famous authors as well who've got lots of rejections and they've just kept at it. So I think that's just a lesson I think that I took very early on, that, that rejections are just part and parcel of a writer's journey. And I've got heaps of rejections, heaps. So, and I keep at it. I keep at it. So I feel like it's just helped me just get better. But having said that, the little wins that come along the way are really valuable. They really motivate you. Just when you're feeling like a bit of a slump, it's nice to get that recognition. So it keeps you going.
And can you tell me like about the inspiration behind your winning piece, Kadal?
Yes.
Like, how did it came about? into existence?
Yes. So I sometimes I have this habit where sometimes I'll see an interesting article and it might be a piece about like it could be anything. It could be a human interest story. It could be a news about something, and there's something about it that captures my interest, and I'll make a note of it. So a while back, I want to say, I think maybe several months back, I had read about seaweed divers in the Gulf of Mannar, and I read about the women and the hardships. It's largely the seaweed harvesting is done by women, and some of the issues that plague their families, their alcoholism and unstable livelihoods and whatnot. So that really fascinated me, and it had some, beautiful pictures as well. Women in the saris, going diving with these really heavy bags, and I made a note of it, and sometimes that just sparks an interest, and I have a Word document where I put all my little ideas, story ideas to come back to. And I'd seen The Call of the Wild come up, and I wasn't quite sure whether I would apply. And I think closer to date, I think maybe with a month ago, I decided, yes, this is the story. Initially I was thinking about maybe writing something about endangered species, and I my head was in a space I couldn't really narrow down. So I just, closed it and I went away, did other things. And then somehow I think this came up again. I'm not quite sure how, but it came up again. I was like, oh yeah, this is competition. It's still open. And that's when I thought about the seaweed and the ocean. And I do love the ocean. I do love the water. So that prompted me, and the story took shape there. How it came about, I'm not quite sure. I feel like the story sometimes evolves. I have a character in mind and I start writing, and the story becomes something else totally from what I've imagined. So I feel like the story evolves as I write.
That's a fabulous detail. But I wanted to know, like, when you wrote the story, like, did you write it in one setting, or did you have to go back, revise it, you know, and then maybe you thought of, publishing it?
Um, Generally, when I approach a story, I try and get through it, say, fairly. I work at it, consecutively, I guess, consecutive days, and then I leave it for a bit, and then I come back to it. So generally, if I have like a broad idea, a broad skeleton of the story, I'll get that down in some format. I don't do any editing. I'll just put the story out there, and then I will just leave it. I will leave it for a bit, and then come back to it without tinkering it. Although it's hard, I know that's something that's a practice that I need to keep doing, because I keep looking at it, and I keep tinkering with it, when the best thing you can do is just to walk away and give yourself some time and let the characters also, I think, take space, let them also be in their world, and allow them to talk to you. Sometimes you need to allow the characters to talk to you, and I think sometimes it's a disservice when you are just trying to tinker and nothing is happening. So I try to get the bare bones of the story down on a document, and then I just leave it be. I don't do anything. I leave it be, and then I come back to it. But I feel like I more or less have the story there, and then it's kind of finessing, moving things here and there, looking at the sequence of, where does the story begin, how does it end, those things, and I play around with. But I think I generally tend to have the story all in kind of one go. I'll start writing, and then I don't more or less finish. I mean, I wait till I finish. I keep going at it till I sort of finish the story.
Yeah, that's really nice. Thank you so much for that detail. Also, I wanted to ask, like, was it the only piece that you had considered for submitting to the fiction writing contest, or was there also any other entry that you thought, oh, maybe I should go for this, or maybe I should go for that? Did you have any
No, it
thought?
was only no, it
Or,
was just this one. I mean, initially, like I said, I mean, initially when I saw the Call of the Wild prompt, and I love prompts, by the way, absolutely love it. I feel like for me, it really works well, because sometimes if you say it's an unthemed thing, it's really hard for me to get creative. But for me, prompts are fantastic, because then I feel like it really gets the creative juices flowing. And initially, when I saw the Call to the Wild, I thought of animals and maybe something about endangered species. That was only a fleeting thought. And like I said, then I went back to it and I wasn't quite sure I'd submit till this story came up. And then I was very sure. I'm like, yes, I'm going to do it. This is the story I want to submit. I wasn't even sure whether it would actually meet the brief because Call to the Wild, it felt like it was all about animals and whatnot. And my story is more about the ocean and humans and their interaction with it and how fragile the oceans are. But I'm really glad that it met the brief and that it was picked.
Exactly, exactly. That's great. So, are there any other projects that you're working on currently?
So I'm continuing to look at different things where different journals where and submit different types of stories while also trying to work on a collection of short stories. So that's going to be a piece where it's going to be interlinked. So I've written about I think 3 or 4 stories, and I've drafted ideas for about 7 stories. But I have to kind of manage that along with other work that I'm doing. So at the moment, I feel like as an emerging writer, I don't know anyone in the industry. I'm brand new. I'm learning. So my thoughts are really just to try and get published as much as possible, and that involves a lot of writing and getting a lot of rejections. So so that's what I'm doing. Just keeping on writing and submitting, honing my craft, and hoping that I continue to get published, so that when I eventually have a collection, that I might stand somewhat a chance, of someone looking at it and thinking it's interesting, because I know that also short stories are really hard, and people have discouraged me. And I've tried also, initially thinking, oh, maybe I should write something commercial, and I try to do that as well. My heart wasn't in it. So I've just parked all of those ideas and I'm thinking it'll come later. But for me right now, that short story collection was what was calling. So I'm just working on that for the moment. Whether or not, it gets published or not, I don't know. But I'm just going to give it all, everything that I have, put my heart and soul into it, and see what happens.
No, this is a really great way to start. But this also brings back, me to that question, like, or a word about criticism, feedback. So, how do you deal with it?
Um, It's tricky because I mean I think when you get rejections, it hurts. You're like, oh, I'm not quite sure. You put everything into it, but at the same time I also feel like there is an element of luck, because uh, I think it's subjective what people like, and you see that when people give you critique. Like, I was at a session yesterday, no, day before, I think, with somebody had submitted their piece of work. And, I think we were a group of maybe 21 or so, and lots of people gave feedback, and people took different things from it. So I think as a reader, you want different things, and ultimately you're not going to be able to please everyone. So you just have to be true to your craft, true to your story, and then hope that it resonates with some people. Sometimes it's just not that it's not about your story being good. It's just that it's not perhaps a right fit for the journal, or I've got where sometimes where people have actually given me some interesting tidbits of feedback where they said, this seems like it could be part of a longer work. So that's really useful for me. You also get the stock standard rejection letter saying, you hope your story finds a home somewhere. And I've taken that sentence to heart. I feel like sometimes it's just about your story finding the right home, and maybe this particular journal or magazine wasn't the home for it. And sometimes I will also play around with the story. Like, I have one story that's not found its home yet, and I have done maybe 9 different iterations, 9 different things where the characters are moving and they're doing different things. In one setting, the character ends on a sad note. In one setting, the character evolves and it ends on a somewhat hopeful note. So I do play around with the stories. The characters do keep evolving and moving. So that's a story that I've, I think, done 9 times, and it's been rejected a lot, but I still feel like it'll find a home eventually. So I'm not letting it go. I'm keeping at it, and I'm going to keep on submitting it because I believe it has a home.
I
I
think
haven't found it yet.
I think it just needs some time and space, as you mentioned previously.
Yes.
So, how do you say, like, how does a day in your life look like? How do you manage writing along with, all the other things that you do while managing,
Mm.
life? So how does a day in your life look like?
So I'm not terribly disciplined. I want to say when it comes to my writing, I have all these thoughts saying I should get up in the morning, and people say, I've read from all these famous writers, but they say they do their best work in the morning. That hasn't quite happened for me as much as I'd like to. So I sit down when I have some time. I try and carve out some time, maybe in the mornings or maybe in the evenings. Sometimes after dinner, that's when I'll do my work. I'll sit up late and I'll do some writing. Or maybe in the afternoons, when I have three dogs and when they've gone off to sleep and when it's quiet, maybe that's when I'll do my work. So I don't have a fixed time. I'm not particularly disciplined, but I do try to do writing every day. Although having said that, this past week it hasn't been that great, but usually I am regular and I'll at least try to put down 500 words if I can. But that's ambitious, I think, but I will tinker around and I will write something, At least I try to.
Oh, that's amazing to know. Like, I feel you're on the right track. Yes,
Thank you.
yes. You're also welcome. Also, I wanted to know, like, is there a book in your life which changed your entire perspective regarding writing or anything?
I feel like if you want to be taken seriously, you need to have an answer to this question, but I don't. I don't have a favorite book. And it might be unusual because I know people say, like, what's your favorite book? And in fact, one of the book clubs that I'm part of, they were doing this thing for World Book Day where they wanted, your favorite book. And I just find that hard to pinpoint because I absolutely love so many different authors and so many different books. I feel like it's absolutely wonderful. It's hard. It's hard for me to pick any one book that has changed my life. Everything from the stories that you read as a child, all the classics to bigger pieces of work, to new contemporary work. I think there's just so much wonderful work out there, wonderful authors, and you pick from different books. So much to appreciate. So I cannot say there's any one book or any one author, but I can name some that I tend to like. I mean, I do like Arundhati Roy. I like Steinbeck, Claire Keegan. I just finished a book by Javier Marias, fantastic book. Um, Perumal Murugan. I mean, there's just so many wonderful writers out there. So Shashi Tharoor,
Oh,
so so
yes.
many, so
Yes.
many. So it's really hard to say, and their styles are also different. That's the amazing thing. Completely, vastly different. So but there's so much you can learn from them.
Okay, and on this, I have a very curious question. Okay. So, what is that
Mm.
one book that you had wish you had written?
Oh my goodness. Oh, again, so many, right? When you see these authors, it's hard to say, right? I mean, they're just beautiful. I mean, you sometimes you read the sentences and you just look at the page and then you read it and you read it and you're like, how does somebody come up with something so beautiful, so lyrical? No, I can't. Just as I don't have a favorite book, I think, I admire so many different authors and what they put on the page. So hopefully I will be able to write something that I'm proud of, in my own voice. And perhaps somebody will look at it one day and say that, that really was moving, or, they really enjoyed reading my story. And that's all I can hope for. But yes, what a wonderful world we live in to have, so many wonderful books that we can read. And now it's more accessible to
Yeah.
us as well, which is great. We have more libraries. Sadly, I think maybe reading is not picking up as much as we would like, but I think it's something that people should hopefully turn their minds to, instead of all the scrolling and all the phones, because it's the most beautiful thing that you can gift yourself. The book, the reward of a book, the beautiful worlds that authors capture. It's amazing.
No, and interestingly, today is World Book Day, if you're aware of
It
it.
is.
Yes,
It
yes.
is. Yes, I know.
And,
Yes.
I, and I've seen local clubs, they've organized events, charitable, funds to, like give books to the kids. So they're doing they're making efforts. I've seen that around, especially in
Yes.
Bombay. But I also wanted to know, like, how do you define a perfect work of, fiction, non-fiction, or of writing? How do you define it?
Perfect. I don't know again if is there such thing as perfect. I think, there's just something that we talk about again, so I run a book club. I'm also part of several book clubs. I think so a book is something that engages you and that brings you to have a conversation, I think that's what is it perfection? I don't know, but something that engages you and that uh, encourages you to have a conversation with people, and it inspires debate, uh, and thought, um, investigation. I think those things are, fantastic things in a book. So I think with nonfiction, I do love nonfiction. I think I don't spend a lot of time, but I was thinking about this as well around the environment, and quite some time back. I read The Sixth Extinction by Elizabeth Colbert, and I absolutely love that book. The Overstory, which is about environmental activism. That's also a fantastic book. The Hidden Life of Trees, for example, again, beautiful book. So there are some amazing books, amazing nonfiction books and fictional books, When it comes to, I think about environment and reading about justice and whatnot, I do like nonfiction. And I think fiction for more around the characters and stories. So I think whether you are a fiction reader or a nonfiction reader, anything that engages you, that you feel like, it inspires you to do more research and inspires you to talk to your friends or your family about, is the perfect book.
Okay, and what advice would you give to, young writers who are just on the scene? I know you also started, like just last year, but any advice you'd like
Yes.
to give them?
I feel like an imposter here because, I've just started, right? So I will say this as a new writer, as an emerging writer, I think what has worked for me is that you need to make friends with rejections. You need to accept that that is part and parcel of your journey, and it is not an indictment or about you as a writer. It just means that you are improving, and getting rejections. I know I've read a lot of authors who didn't get their book published. It was rejected multiple times, ultimately till it found its home, So I think I go back to that where you say, it's about finding a home for your story and it's about improving your craft. So be open to the getting feedback. Be open to picking and choosing feedback. You don't have to take everything on board, but be open to that exercise of getting feedback and listen to your readers, listen to what they're saying, and try to understand what has resonated, what is not, and also read a lot, because I think reading helps you improve your craft as a writer. So read a variety of books. Don't just if you like magical realism, don't just stick to magical realism. Read other things as well. Read literary fiction, read horror, read whatever, right? Crime fiction. Um, read from different sources, different types of authors. Don't just stick to the type of authors that the all the works by one author, but read from a variety, and you will absorb a lot of I think tips and tricks on how to approach writing. Like for instance, some authors prefer really short sentences.
Yes.
uh, Javier Marias that I've read, his sentences go into pages, like one page. It's like nonstop. It's breathless, But it doesn't have that frenetic quality. I've read some stories where they're all in one sentence, huge, and it's like a frenetic pacing. This one is more languid. It's more, gentle. So there are just different ways to approach it. And I think everything, all of that, I think reading will also hone your craft. And like I said, be open to getting feedback, but also take heart when you get rejections. Don't be afraid of putting yourself out there. You just have to keep at it. Keep applying and keep trying to get published if that is your game. Or maybe you're just writing for yourself. Maybe you're just writing because you don't want this to be seen by anyone, but you're just writing. Whatever your motivations are, just keep writing, keep doing it. There's no easy way. At least that's, from my very small journey, I can say there's no easy way. other than to do the hard work and to keep trying.
That's a really detailed explanation. Thank you so much for that. Also, I wanted to know, like, what all activities do you do at your book club?
Around a book club? Okay.
Yes.
So we meet once a month. We've been around for just over 2 years. And I met so the other friend that I run the book club with, I met her on another book club. So we read across different genres. We pick genres at the beginning of the year. We have like a poll. People recommend different genres. And then we select the genres for the month. And then we do 6 months where we vote, where people vote recommendations and we vote for a book, and 6 months where it's a random pick, where you recommend a book